So I wanted to start off by asking you something that obviously you're quite passionate about. So you're into football.
Yes.
I even heard you got a tattoo of Tottenham Hotspur on your shoulder.
Yes, here it is. I'll show it to you right here. There it is.
Okay.
I think I'm the only woman who has a Spurs tattoo. If there are any more, I apologise, but I don't know of any.
Have you got any sporting heroes in particular?
Oh goodness. Well, at the moment it's Gareth Bale, obviously. But I started watching back in the 60s, late 60s. So I think the first game I went to was Jimmy Greaves' testimonial back in a long time ago. So it was Martin Chivers, and I was in love with Joe Kinnear most of my teenage years. Glad to see he's much better and back in football again. Graham Souness, all these players that used to play for Spurs. But I just love, I love the team that's there now. But back in the day, I think Martin Chivers was my idol.
What made you get into the whole football scene?
England winning the World Cup.
Live Cup.
England winning the World Cup in 1966. I remember walking out my front door and it was like London was deserted because everyone was inside watching the football, and it was such a wonderful atmosphere. It was in England. We won at Wembley. It's kind of like the Olympics were here last year. It's like the whole country got involved. I just got swept up in the whole thing, and at 11 I went to an all-girls school in Tottenham, and to be honest, Spurs were the nearest boys. So, go see the Spurs.
Do you still go to many games?
No, because I live in Los Angeles now. But cool. If I come over during the season, I do try to get to a couple of games, yeah.
Is that one of the main things you miss about not being in England so much?
Yeah, I miss not going to the games live, but I actually get to see more football in LA than I do when I come to England, because where I stay they don't have Sky, so unless I take myself to the pub, in LA I can see every Premier League match every weekend. So my husband's always saying to his friends he's married to a dude because I watch more sports than he does. He doesn't watch sports actually, I'm the one who watches. He watches like stupid things like Duck Dynasty, which you probably don't have over here, but all those stupid reality shows. Oh, shouldn't say that.
I take it football's not the only sport you're into then?
No, I like tennis. I watch tennis, and I also got into American football as well, so I watch that too.
England must be quite different to Hollywood then, so anything you miss in particular?
I miss the English people. Very different to Americans. It's like, who was it that said we're two countries separated by a common language? Very different mentality. They're not as funny as we are. They don't get irony. I'm always finding I'm saying, that was a joke, that was a joke. They're much more conservative than we are here. I don't mean in politics, I mean in their, in their day-to-day lives. And yeah, I miss the English. I miss just that, especially in London, that kind of London sense of humour, that cheeky chappy thing. Yeah, I really miss it, and I miss it more and more actually with every passing year. I'm getting very homesick.
Do you ever think you'll move back?
I would love to move back. I'm trying to find all kinds of reasons to move back. Of course, I married the only American who doesn't like London. So I have to find work here to come back. So I've been looking into various options to get myself back here.
What made you want to get involved with this film in particular?
Well, I'm very passionate about the subject matter of this film. I think that it's a disgrace what's been going on in the airline industry for all these years. They've known about it, they've known about the bleed air, they've done nothing about it. And as my own little bit of market research, I have asked probably 100 people, do you know where the air on an aeroplane, the air that we breathe on an aeroplane comes from? And not one person knew the answer. Even airline attendants who actually work on the aeroplane, I've said, do you know where the air you breathe comes from on this plane? None of them knew. Nobody knows. And this is something that people have to know. They've managed to get away with it for decades. They know now that they've got to do something, because the new jumbo that they've, you know, whatever 787 or whatever it is, they fixed the problem. But really, it was a case of, well, you know, ignorance. Nobody knows, so why should we spend the money fixing it?
Do you think the film's a good way then to put the topic out there, or how do you think a change is going to come about?
Well, I think it's going to be kind of like the equivalent of The Insider, you know, that movie about the tobacco industry. You know, for years the tobacco industry said that smoking didn't harm you. And then we find out, obviously, that it does. So someone has to blow the whistle. Someone has to make this public. Because once the public knows, then the airline industry will have to make the changes. And as we say in this movie, if they did fix the problem, it would literally put the price of a ticket up by £1. So they've got away with it for too long.
What have you enjoyed most about working on the film so far?
Well, I always enjoy working with English actors. We don't take our jobs quite as seriously as most Americans do. So we know we're not curing cancer, we're actors, you know, and they're much more fun generally. And of course, being in the Sussex countryside, nothing to sniff at, it's brilliant. It's lovely to look out the window and see the downs.
How else does working on a film like Dark Reflection compare to, I don't know, say, how your work on Star Trek?
We had much more time on Star Trek, much more money. Now, if we were shooting Star Trek now, I would have a 30-foot Winnebago outside that would be my home from home. So yeah, there are very, very different ways. They spoil us over there, they really do. We get very spoiled. You kind of have to keep your feet on the ground over there a little bit, because the way that you're coddled and cosseted in Hollywood when you're working, you could lose all signs of reality, which I think is really dumb, because normal people, and you're usually playing a normal person in a project, you're not usually playing a movie star when you're acting, they lose sight of what real people are really like. They never run into them. They have assistants running their errands, and they have nannies bringing up their children. I don't have an assistant, I've never had an assistant. I like to do my own stuff, I like to go and do my own shopping. I clean my own house. It's kind of rare, do my own cooking.
Are you working on any other projects?
Well, I've been cast recently as a recurring character on NCIS, which is on Channel 5, I think, here. And I'm the head of Mossad, the Israeli Secret Service. So it's actually a pretty fantastic part, because she's vile. But it's fantastic. At my age, to actually get such a great part in Hollywood is pretty rare, so I'm thrilled. I'll be back next season for a few episodes on that too.
Must be fun to play different roles and different characters.
It really is. I'm lucky that I can do accents, because I never get cast as English and I never get cast as American, so fortunately I've got a good ear and I can do accents, and I usually end up playing somebody foreign.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I've got.
Great.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Josiah.